It's like, hey man, there's a cat in a tree. Okay, but I'm about to bust this human trafficking ring. Yeah. So like, sorry, kitty cat gonna have to chill.
And welcome back to another amazing episode of The Careful Boys, where we have the lieutenant in the building, Aram Choe.
Never gonna get used to that.
It's gonna catch on, I promise.
It's a huge hit.
It's gotta be a thing.
Everyone's gonna do it at the department.
We've already got the merch with you. Just
Oh, that'd be horrible if I walked into work, because there's a lot of young guys that see this at work. If I walked in and they do this,
you made that up. You told us to do that. Every video.
Yeah, you emailed us the whole syllabus.
Yeah. It was on your writer.
It was a TikTok tutorial.
cop shaving me.
All right, I'm gonna ask this question. Hopefully you don't get into the heat. Nah, you won't. What laws do you currently not agree with that you have to enforce?
Great.
Top 5 wackest laws.
Let's see.
And can you even talk about that?
Probable cause?
Freedom of speech?
No, I can talk about it. I just can't think of it.
Oh, no, that's not the law.
I don't f with freedom of speech.
By worst amendments.
Bear arms? No way.
Are there some like traffic laws that I don't enforce because I might be guilty of it too, like tinted windows? I think
That's cool.
unless it's like a tinted, like an overly tinted front windshield and it becomes a safety hazard or something, then yeah, I'm gonna probably tell them.
What's the logic behind why you feel like they're okay to have?
Because because my car is tinted, right? So I'm like, I'm not gonna.
We got him. Come here.
And I just think it goes to the thing that I'm not going to enforce something on someone that I'm doing myself, right? That's hypocritical. I just don't want to be a hypocrite.
What do you think cops that do enforce tinted windows though, huh?
Nerds.
Yeah, nerds.
Are there those guys though, like in the department where you're like, you follow the book so hard, there is no humanity in you because everything is like has to be perfect?
Yeah, but like what makes one person tick may not make the other person tick. You know what I mean? Like for me, littering just gets on my nerves. Man.
So if you see someone throw something out the window,
If I see someone throwing a cigarette out the window and I see the sparks, dude, I'm pulling them over.
Have you ever issued the $1,000 fine?
No.
Oh, you've never had? Because it's a $1,000 fine, right?
Yes, but
She just beats him on the
the few
spot.
times I've done that, it's led to an arrest. They either had a no bail warrant, they had a warrant, or something, you know. Because the process is you ask them for their license and you want to know who you're talking to. You run the thing, and then they're inevitably wanted. And the few times I've done that, where I've seen the thing, the flicker of the cigarette, it always led to a bigger arrest.
Interesting.
Because those behaviors probably...
Only a real deadbeat would do something like that. Yeah, that's
I have a completely hypothetical scenario. Never happened. What if I'm walking at like 6 in the morning, saying like a beautiful city like Pasadena, Old Town, and I'm crossing the street. There's no cars in sight. I happen to jaywalk, and I get a ticket for that. Would you give me a ticket?
That's a Pasadena thing.
Is it?
Yeah, I've never given a jaywalking ticket, but remember when Old Town used to be happening? Right, and people, that was a thing. I think so. It's ingrained in their culture.
But you know what? He told me that he walked into the restaurant and then the cop walked into the restaurant and then gave you a ticket inside.
and 6 a.m. too.
Yeah, it was
no
at 6
hair.
a.m. I just finished a couple of sessions, and I'm like, okay, am I gonna get the oolong mountain?
Was the street relatively clear?
It was empty, dude. It was it was green in Raymond. And I didn't even see this guy, and he pulled me. He's like, "Can I talk to you outside?" I was like, "Yeah, officer, what's up?"
You thought he was going to ask you to help him solve a crime.
You were like, "Hey, you look like a fine, strapping young lad."
I bet you what happened that morning was somebody said, "You ever got a jaywalking ticket?" No, I never did. I bet you can't find one.
My dumb ass walked in.
Nobody's dumb enough to do that around here.
It was such a problem that I think eventually they changed the crosswalks on Colorado Boulevard in Old Town to diagonal cross.
Yeah, they did.
Right?
They did, yeah.
Because of you.
Not because of me. It happened way out front.
You got policy change.
Mine was just a single. It was just a single across, dude. It was just a bummer.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have a cop that is just like whatever makes him tick, right? I mean, you never know. Like maybe in his prior experience, he came across a bad fatality because someone. And so from that day forward, he vowed to always stop that. In his mind, he's saving your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm making up that
Part of me was really upset, but the other side of me was like, he did catch me do it. You know, he did see me do it. So it's like, what are you gonna do? I got. Everyone gets got.
In your opinion, do you think there's anything he could have said to get out of that?
Probably. I mean, you know,
Citizens arrest
like
them?
we don't write tickets to punish people. Right? That's not. It's not. We're not the punishment arm. That's the judicial. We're the executive. We try to educate you. And if I feel like if I pulled you, and it's happened a lot when I pull people over and they're on. I did run that stop, and I live around the corner, and there's never any cross traffic. And if I was in an unfamiliar place, I would have definitely stopped. But yeah, I got lazy, complacent, and
None of that came to mind.
No.
You just were a stuttering idiot.
Because it's
I was caught off guard.
Yeah, you're not thinking yourself. Like
You don't go, what, fool, what?
Yeah, I should have. I wish I was tougher. I wish I was cooler. I wish I would more.
No, that's because that's not your nature.
Yeah, I'm not really. I'm more of a rule follower too. So it's like. I had to look at myself in the mirror after that one. I was like, "Where's your life going?"
Let me ask you this: when you go to a crosswalk and it just turned the stop, right? Yeah. Don't walk, and you still walk because you know that's.
Yeah.
Are you breaking the law then?
I do a light jog. Do I get bonus points for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, some people are just sticklers when it comes to certain things. For me, it was a cigarette flicking out of the window, and for this guy, it might have been a jaywalk.
Jeez. Yeah.
Are there any policies that you don't agree with? Like, not just laws, but you're like, why do they do that?
Well, I mean, we do have one at my agency where briefings have to be, your roll call, your briefings have to be a certain time limit. But sometimes, especially a day after you had a major event, I think you should extend those briefings, right, to debrief. And sometimes those discussions around the room, what we could have done better, it becomes a training opportunity. And if the sergeant's just looking at the clock saying, "Hey guys, we got to wrap this up in 5 minutes," because they're afraid they're going to get chastised by their boss, it's like, no, use your grown-ups. You're a supervisor. Use your big boy decision making and say, no, we're going to extend briefing for 10 minutes. And then the reason why they say that, well, it's like, okay, we let that go and we have calls building up. We need you to go on the street. So I see both arguments, but the time ones where they're strict on time really get to me. The policies where they're like, yeah, you must be on the street by this time. It's like, well, there are factors that dictate whether you can or not, right?
What about like the catch and release program? Like what was the whole purpose of that? Where like people they catch them and then they book them for maybe a day or two. They're back out on the street doing the exact same thing. Like what was? I'm sure every like policy has a good intention, but the outcome's just dumb.
I think bottom line for that one was just overcrowding. Jail overcrowding. There's no room for them. If we put every misdemeanor in the jail on top of every felony in the jail, there's no place to put them.
So that was their way of not overcrowding the jails.
Yeah, pretty much.
Build more jails.
Yeah. Well, then people have a problem with that. And then for a while, we had private jails, remember? Corporations saw an opportunity that, hey, the governments don't have the money to build
And they didn't like the for-profit jail system. Yes. And then also, it's hard to find land to build jails on because no one wants a jail in their community.
Right.
What do you feel about, like, let's say that you're at like a barbecue with a bunch of like just buddies, and then you guys are just checking out guns, and then some dude's got his gun out. Everybody's got registered firearms or whatever. He's just doing a bunch of guy stuff. Oops, this guy got an extended mag. Is that a thing, or are you like, that's an ATF thing, whatever?
Okay, so
300 rounder.
Real life scenario. A guy did drive through my city with a extended mag, like I forget, a 15-round mag, nothing obnoxious, on his pistol. And so when I pulled him over, I said, "Hey, you got any weapons or anything in the car?" My usual spiel, "Yes, I have my Glock, and I just to let you know I have a 15, 18-round mag." I'm like, interesting. Do you have a legal reason for that? He's like, I don't know if it's a legal reason, but I just got stationed here. I'm in the military. I was in another state where my gun, the magazine that came in this gun, was legal to have a high-capacity magazine. I said, oh, okay. And after I'm feeling him out for a while, I'm like, this guy is serving our nation. He showed me the papers that show me he's in the military and that he just got assigned over here.
But you can't move through the state with that, right?
I mean, this is where I'm kind of more of a constitutionalist, right? I believe the Constitution supersedes any state constitution. And we do swear an oath to both, but I think in the hierarchy of things, the Constitution, the United States Constitution, is the overarching umbrella that supersedes a state one. So have I used it to my advantage? Yeah. If it's someone that's out there causing trouble and they committed a crime with that gun, yes, I will charge them with that. And call me a hypocrite, if you will, but I think the reason why we have the spirit of the law as opposed to just the letter of the law is because they pay people that have the discernment to determine, well, was it their criminal intent in this, or was there not criminal intent? And I would argue the overwhelming majority of people that have extended magazines do so because they want to have an equal footing with the bad guys that are going to become, why do you have a gun? For protection. If the bad guys who don't have any care for the law or rule are going to have 20, 30 round magazines, if I'm going to protect my house, I'm not going to be undergunned. I'm going to have equal or more. So I think the overwhelming people that have guns in this country are law-abiding citizens. And sure, are there people that commit crimes with guns? Yes. Are those guns legally purchased? No. Are they going to have legal magazines with them? No, absolutely not.
That's a good answer.
That was a good answer.
Thank you.
Constitution above
You ever
all.
get into like a family?
One last thought. With that said, we did have a moratorium in California on high-capacity magazines. It was legal for a while, and then shortly the court said, hold on, let's put a moratorium on the moratorium. So I think it's coming. I think especially under this new...
They called it, they called like Freedom Week or something? There was that one week where you could do it, so everyone would like buy it now, and then if you get pulled over, just say you bought it during that week.
What? 1 week?
So if the government's willing to flex that way and be flexible with that, I think me as an enforcement officer can be flexible too. Sorry.
No. That's great.
I didn't want to lose that thought.
I wish I went during Freedom Week.
That's why I have all of my magazines.
Purge Week?
I got it during Freedom Week.
I didn't get no emails about Freedom Week.
Hawaii, like this is, I'm going to Hawaii later on this year, and normally when I travel in the States, when I'm flying, I always declare a weapon and I take it with me.
Yep.
But Hawaii is one of those difficult states that I'm considering not taking it with me when I.
It's interesting. It's like it's difficult in other ways, but they don't have like a roster like we do in California. You can get whatever. Sure. But
you have to register your gun, right? If you move there, you have to register within a certain day.
Well, yes and no, but yeah, technically you just have to go to the station and declare it. Okay. But you walk in and then you just say, "Hey, I landed. This is what I got." But they're also pretty forgiving when it comes to common sense stuff. Like, "Hey, I came here. I'm flying in for vacation. I'm not gonna go to the station tomorrow. I might go like 4 days later." Sure. Yeah.
There's this thing where, like, I was gonna ask you about this because my girl always cries about this. When we were, we had our studio in the fashion district in downtown LA for a while, so we would always be walking around Maple Avenue, and in this area, there's like a lot of street vendors that have like clothes and stuff, but then there's always a bunch of them that have like caged animals that they sell on the street.
Oh, like bunnies and like...
Yeah, bunnies, puppies, guinea pigs, little birds. And,
really small turtles.
Yeah, just all kinds of like animals that you're not supposed to be caging, and they just sell them. And every time we walk by, she cries and calls like cops or animal control. Sometimes there's cops out there, and they just completely know it's there, and then they just shrug and they're like, "There's nothing you can do." If we, go over there, they'll just grab them and run, and then, or if we arrest them, there's nothing you can do. Another one will be out there the next day, so they just don't bother to do anything about it. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, with LA specifically, I think is it a crime? Yeah, right. Is it a municipal code violation? That's what it is. It boils down to being a municipal code violation. So
What does that mean?
So, there's different codes, right? There's the penal code, which is a state code.
So it's like city.
Yeah, and a municipal, it's exactly what it is. Codes established by that municipality. So, like, street vending in Los Angeles is legal now, as long as you get a permit to do so. So you don't have to have a business license. You don't have to see a health inspector, but you can be a street vendor as long as you have a permit to do that. And politics are politics, and they largely dictate how municipal codes go. Whereas in other cities, you might have a city like Beverly Hills where street vending is absolutely illegal. It's not in their code to allow to do that. It's just what your politicians want in that city. And in LA, if they allow that type, it may be illegal, and then probably other things too. Like there's probably health code issues and stuff like that. But they have bigger fish to fry, sadly. Yeah. So they have.
It's LA.
Right, and they have. And we handle things based on a priority scale. So this past weekend, I got a text from the chief who got a message from a city council person, and sent a picture saying, "Hey, there's literally a makeshift swap meet somebody set up on the street. Can you deal with that?" Absolutely, it's illegal in our city to set up.
El Monte is zero tolerance for that.
Yes, but it wasn't always the case too. So when it was a in vogue thing to allow street vending, it was fine. And then now that this goes back to the politicians. So they allowed street vending because they're like, some people don't have the means to buy a restaurant. They, politically it was savvy for them to be on. We allow it in our city.
And the food's bomb.
Yeah, pretty good stuff. But then you have the business owners that live in the city, pay taxes in the city. They're like, hey, I have to pay rent for this building, pay for the utilities, pay for a health inspector, pay my business taxes, and this guy is stealing business away from me, and he doesn't have to pay any of that. So now, the politicians kind of went, well, okay, you're right. We should care for people that went through the process. But yeah, so in the story I was telling you about the message the chief got from the council person, we absolutely put that in the call log, but at the same time, we were down about 10, 15 calls, and we handle calls by priority. So it's not like that call wasn't important. Yeah. And when everybody calls, that call is important to that person.
Yeah, but a shooting's probably more important.
Yes, when we triage all those things, right? And and you have to handle things in the best way, the most important things first.
It's like, hey man, there's a cat in a tree. Okay, but I'm fucking about to bust this human trafficking ring. Yeah. So like, sorry, kitty cat gonna have to chill.
Human trafficking's got to wait.
And by the way, most of the calls I get,
Cat's gonna leave soon.
because that's part of my job is listening to the complaints. Most of the people that complain aren't complaining about the officer themselves. It's the procedure. All of it's procedural complaint. Well, it took you an hour to come? Well, ma'am, I had a child abuse call, I had a domestic violence, I had a house fire or whatever. It still took you an hour and a half, and you have to. So it's
we're understaffed.
Yeah, that must happen all the time.
Even if we were fully staffed, most of the time we are fully staffed for our deployment. It's just we get busy,
Did you ever bust in El Nani? Did you ever bust any of those houses that were running brothels out of the house?
No, but we do have a very active vice team on our department. They're called a special investigations team, so they do narcotics, gangs, all that stuff. But yeah, they do massage compliance checks and stuff like that.
Hey yo, they check them good.
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, the first time I'd worked as a watch commander, it was new to me because it's so close to the front desk. There were Asian people in the lobby applying to be to get their background checks to be massage therapists in our city. So, and it takes a special investigations team.
Oh, they have to go there
to do a background investigation on them. So they get vetted and all that stuff to do that. So.
Then you have to do like titty profiling. Well, those are too big for illegal activity.
Probably. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Like, what? Those aren't illegal.
You can't be a therapist.
Yeah.
You have a license to carry those?
You're a prostitute, dude.
Is it true? I don't know if it was I feel like I was reading an Onion article, but I read something that said that like when they were trying to bust these like massage parlors, that it was getting so difficult that they made it legal that if there was an undercover investigator, that they were allowed to
let me investigate the quality of this brothel.
No, yeah, it said something like they were allowed to reveal that they were an officer after the service.
Hey, some undercover work's sick.
Yeah, kind of. Not after the service per se, but you have to have something called furtherance in order for prostitution to stick.
Oh, furtherance!
My favorite law.
Okay, tell me about furtherance.
Yeah, so in California, prostitution is the penal code is called 647B, and every penal code has an element, right? So it has to be a sexual service in exchange for not necessarily money, but exchange for a good. Let's just say I can't remember the specific word, but there has to be a benefit to receiving the sexual. So if I'm in a massage parlor and the masseuse, I can't think of the word. Massage therapist, masseuse.
Massage guy.
Massage guy.
Monsieur.
Rubber dude.
Wants to give me a happy ending, and there's no agreement that I was going to compensate them for that. That's not illegal.
That's not prostitution.
That's not prostitution.
That's just free will,
but
baby.
It could be a health code violation or a business code violation that sexual activities are occurring in there. But that onus is on the business.
I see.
But now let's just say she's like, hey, I like your watch. Okay, well here's a watch and I'll give you a watch in exchange for a happy ending. then that's an exchange of
For like goods or something.
goods, something compensating that person for a
What if
sexual
that
thing.
compensation happens 24 hours apart and you're just nice to each other?
Well, still an agreement was made. There's no time limit to the when the agreement was made. Now, furtherance could be that she agreed and said, okay, and starts taking off her clothes. Okay, then you can argue that she was agreed to the act, agreed for the compensation, and started taking off her clothes to commensurate the act. That's furtherance. So
What if the cops is like, I need like definitive proof of this furtherance?
Yeah, what if the chief is like, get in there, get dirty?
just because I know,
Come on, chief.
I mean, you see it on.
I'm married, chief.
I can't remember where I read it. I want to say it was like The Onion too, but I did read publications where cops were fired for taking it too far. And
They're just doing their duty.
What's the furthest?
Even furtherance can go too far sometimes.
What's the furthest?
80% edging.
so when I was a deputy, I was when I told you I came to the sheriff's department where it was rare to have Asian guys. And not to be confused with 647B, but there was a lot of these Korean bars or restaurants that had something called B girls.
Oh, Domies.
I don't know what the word is, but
That's the street name. Domies.
there was no sexual
I'm
act.
undercover, guys.
There was no sexual act. It was you're basically they were paying for your time, right? So like
Hostesses?
kind of like hostesses, right? Where they would encourage you to, hey, why don't you buy me a drink?
Oh, just to get you to pay more money.
Pay more, and that's illegal. They're called B-girl activities. So because I was one of the rare Korean guys at my department, I got pulled out by major crimes. And mind you, I'm working in the jails at this time, and I got pulled out for this activity with another Korean guy who was more culturally savvy than me. Right? I'm not culturally savvy with the Korean customs and stuff. So, like going into it, he had to show me how to receive a drink or pour a drink. Right? So that it didn't look like I was very Americanized, because when you go into a Korean establishment like that where illicit activities happen and you appear more Americanized, they'll sniff out a cop. So it's kind of cool. One of the cool things that happened, I can admit to this, is they gave me a wad of cash and allowed me to drink as I'm on duty doing this. And my whole job was
Get to sing karaoke.
no, this was a weird one. It looked like a standard American bar, and like this Korean aunt-looking lady, just normal, not dressed scantily clad or this normal clothes, will sit with you. She mixed me. First time I ever had it, and I kind of still like it today. It's strips of they call it anchim, which is like snacks you have while you drink. Strips of beef jerky. And then she mixed a spoonful of mayonnaise and tapatio and mixed it. And she's like, yeah, dip your beef jerky in that. Dude, I was chowing down on that. But I was also drinking too, so I was like, oh, this is super cool.
That actually does sound good.
That sounds bomb.
And what's the thing that you had to get him for?
So the idea was I just did my thing. And so the people listening, I had a wire on me.
Oh, jeez.
The people listening were listening for how many times she had me buy drinks for her or buy drinks for me, and like her drink would be, she'd probably maybe put it to her lips and not even finish it, and the bartender will take it away and so, oh, my drink's done, can you buy me another one? Sure, taking advantage of a person that's intoxicated. That's the illegal activity.
Wow, that was that big of a deal that they wanted to.
That's just good business.
Yeah,
Yikes, man.
I didn't know that was even a thing until I got called in to do that. Wow. So that was the extent of my undercover.
Furtherance. We gotta look into this furtherance, boys.